The senator from Louisiana.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask unanimous consent to end the quorum call.
Without objection.
Madam President, I rise today with enormous pride, but also real sadness, to honor one of my longest serving and most talented staff members, Zak Baig, as he departs the Senate later this week to start an exciting new career. Zak has worked his way up our ranks in my office, starting on the House side, and in the process has filled almost every role in sight, starting with chief bottle washer and going up from there. He actually started in 2001, shortly after I was elected to the U.S. House, as an intern back in Louisiana, in Hammond, Louisiana. Did a great job there. In 2002, he was an intern up here in D.C., showed even greater progress and promise. And then he came on full-time as a legislative correspondent at the end of 2002. In 2004, I ran for the United States Senate. Big undertaking, enormous challenge, statewide campaign. And Zak moved on to the campaign side and was in charge of the grassroots effort, which was enormously important and helped lead to our success. So he truly helped guide us to victory that year. After that, as we started work in the United States Senate, he became an integral member of the Senate staff. In those first 3 years, he served as our projects director, and then in 2008 became legislative director. In 2013, Zak served as the Republican staff director for the EPW committee, while I was ranking Republican. And in 2015, after we took the majority and I became chair of the Small Business Committee, Zak became full staff director there, as well as acting chief of staff for a period. And so, as I said, he's absolutely worked his way up the ranks, meriting it each and every step of the way, doing a better and better job as he progressed. You can tell that in his body of work, which is very impressive and, of course, which I benefited from. At the EPW committee as a Republican staff director, Zak helped navigate the legislative waters and shepherd through the Senate some major infrastructure legislation. He was able to lead at the staff level the negotiations of the Water Resources Reform and Development Act of 2014, starting from drafting bipartisan legislation with Senator Barbara Boxer and her staff, the chair of the committee, to negotiating with the House of Representatives in conference, to ultimately getting the bill signed into law, a major legislative accomplishment. And then shortly after that, he turned around and helped do the same thing with the highway bill reauthorization. Under his leadership, we also conducted some really important oversight of the administration, particularly the EPA, the Department of Transportation, and other agencies under the jurisdiction of the EPW committee. When we moved to the majority and chairmanship of the Small Business Committee, Zak served as staff director just as, if not more, effectively. He helped lead the way as we passed 22 bipartisan bills out of the committee in just 1 year, 8 of which have become law. To put that in some perspective, our predecessor on the committee only passed 10 bills out of the committee over 5 years. So it really was making the committee work in an effective bipartisan way, as it should. And then in general, in the office, Zak was behind a lot of our major efforts and achievements, always effective at whatever he put his mind to. Now, a lot of that success is directly attributed to his never-ending energy, his drive to see things through from start to finish, and maybe even more importantly, his personality, his attitude, his sense of humor, his being able to do tough things and always get along with those he was occasionally battling with, because he always did it with a smile, a friendly attitude, probably a joke or two mixed in. It's at that personal level that I'm most saddened to say goodbye to Zach, at least working with him day to day professionally, although we'll obviously keep in close touch. I've been honored to be a mentor to so many younger folks who have worked in the Senate office, and I've been honored to mentor Zach through the years, and it really has been a personal privilege and honor. Through those years, I've literally seen him grow up from a young student, a boy really, to a consummate professional, a wonderful husband, a great father. And I like to think I had a little bit to do with that as well, because Zach met his wonderful wife, Wendy, when they both worked for me in the Senate office. In fact, their marriage is one of 4 that's come out of our Senate office, which, as I look back on my service in the Senate, is probably the statistic and the fact I'll be most proud of. The young people I help mentor, that I serve with, and those marriages that directly came out of the office. And in that sense, through that mentoring and through those years, I gained not just a great staff leader, but a true and dedicated friend. And for that, I'll always be grateful. And it's at that personal level that I'll think back about fights and struggles and work and challenges and a lot of jokes and a lot of fun we had along the way. In that spirit, I want to leave Zach with 3 parting gifts. One has to do with a day that I carried about with me, from committee hearing to floor activity to actually giving a speech on the floor with it next to me, a funny photograph that will not be described in more detail, perfectly PG rated, but inside joke funny. Zach, after that day, got a hold of that framed photograph, and I think it's been completely destroyed. But there was a file of the originals involved, and so I'll hand that to him as a parting gift, as part of the inside joke. On another occasion, commemorating his enormous devotion to Syracuse sports, he went to Syracuse as an undergraduate, a prize basketball of his was hijacked. This was a basketball signed by Coach Jim Boeheim after their national championship season in 2003. It was hijacked, it moved locations, it sent ransom notes from all around the country for quite a protracted period before Zach got it back. I was going to have the basketball with me to help tell the story today, only to find out earlier today that it's been hijacked again. So my second parting gift to Zach is to get in contact with the abductors and return the prize basketball for yet a second time. And the third, and probably most important parting gift, is to give Zach true credit, the credit he deserves. One fight I took on in the last several years is to have members and staff health care handled appropriately, as was intended under Obamacare, the so-called Washington exemption of Obamacare, ending that. And I just want to give Zach full and public credit that that crusade and that idea was really his and his alone. Not. I just wanted to give him one last heart attack, thinking for a split second that his promising lobbying career had just ended before it even began. I know that Zach's Senate peers and our constituents in Louisiana will miss his tireless service, but no one will miss that and his camaraderie and his good humor and his friendship more than my wife, Wendy, and our 4 children. We've all become very close with him and his wife, Wendy, and their 2 sons, Maddox and Fleming. And we also know his parents very well and are friends with them back home in Louisiana. So we wish them all the best. I know Zach's greatest achievements are ahead of him, not behind. And I can tell him to count me in as a cheerleader and fan as he takes on those new challenges. With that, Madam Chairman, I yield the floor.